And good evening, everyone. Will you please stand, if you can, and join with me in our Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of personal reflection. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Lawful, please call roll and read our statement of adequate notice.
Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilman Wendell.
Here.
Councilwoman Winston. Here. Councilwoman Zimbicki.
Here.
Council President McAvoy.
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen.
Here.
Administrator Joseph Cusculo.
Here.
And Township Attorney Raj Goomer.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231 Public Law 1975 by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, providing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. Council, you have before you Resolution 24-196, adopting our meeting minutes from our June 10th, 2024 meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Is there any need for correction or clarification on these minutes? Ms. Lawful, please call roll.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes. Council, we have 5 ordinances for a second reading and a public hearing. Ordinance 2412. Township Clerk, will you please read?
An ordinance amending Chapter 144, Garbage, Refuse, and Recyclables of the Township Code of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey.
May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Crisculo, let's see how, there are so many varied provisions as we all did our homework here. Can you possibly summarize?
Sure. This is to put in the changes to our code for the new method of garbage and recycle retrieval, keeping in mind there are several communities that are still using the old system because the cans just can't be facilitated in those communities. So this is an update for the mechanical collection of trash and some updates to be in compliance with the new recycling regulations that the state imposes.
Yeah, that was a hefty 7-8 pages of
was a lot of changes.
documentation
Yeah.
regarding the direction that Mayor Cohen has taken us, and it's been nothing but positive in terms of my neighborhood. I'm going to open this matter up to the public. Does anyone wish to comment on this ordinance and this ordinance only? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Are there any council comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes. Ordinance 2413. Township Clerk, please read.
A bond ordinance providing for various school capital improvements in and by the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, pursuant to a shared services agreement with the East Brunswick Board of Education, appropriating $6,100,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $5,795,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
May I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
Mr. Crisculo, comment on this one?
This is for financing that was requested by the East Brunswick Board of Education, and I think we've discussed this at length at several other meetings.
Yep.
And finally got to a point where we're ready to proceed with this.
Finally, right? Great. Let's open this up to the public, for the public to comment on this resolution and this resolution only. Seeing none, I will close the public portion. Council comments? We're good. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Ordinance 24-14. Township Clerk, would you please read?
A bond ordinance providing for lighting for the cricket field at Heavenly Farms in and by the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $630,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $600,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Then may I have a motion for this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I'll open this matter up to the public, for the public to speak on this matter, and this matter only. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Any council comments? I know we had some lively discussion on this, and
Just a question.
Yes.
Is it still on track to be open by the end of the summer?
Yeah, yes, it is. The issue is we ran into the pumps that feed the irrigation system. We had problems with the specific wiring from PSE&G to that shack. At this point in time, what we're going to do is we're going to run it by a generator, because we don't want the install from PSE&G to hold it up any further. As you know, summer, power outages, you never can schedule things with PSE&G. So the irrigation system should be operational now. Certainly do not want to lay sod in 105-degree temperatures. So we're watching that temperature. I have a call into Mr. Kipp, and we're seeing when that would be laid. It will take a couple of days to lay that, naturally be irrigated. Probably the best chance the sod to get it laid and the butts taken up so there's nobody going to get hurt. It's probably like mid-September to the end of September. That would be safe enough to be played upon. But soon as it is done, we can get to that point. Thank you.
Thank you.
we're good, Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes, thank you.
And just looking at my note, this is 2415? 2414? Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Ordinance 2415, Township Clerk?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 61 of the Township Code.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Fine, thank you. Mr. Criscuolo, any comments on this?
Give me a second to reference.
I know. And I'm putting you on the spot. Mr. Criscuolo was on vacation last week. What? The grass cutting.
Grass cut on the highway.
Grass cutting ordinance.
On the roadway, on the roadway.
The what?
On the roadway.
Site triangle issues and all that.
Oh, okay, now I remember where it is.
Right.
Yeah.
This ordinance is to help us in when the police identify a location that they feel is a hindrance to the public, that they also have the power, along with the code enforcement officer, to say this is a hazard. So if you remember over on Fresh Pods and, was it Hardenberg?
Yep.
We had that issue about a month ago. I worked with Captain Keenley, and we went ahead and took care of that problem. But the code wasn't very clear in that area. It was a hazard. He deemed it as a hazard. It just clears it up, that says officially, the police have the right to do that and to, notify the town or call somebody out to do that, and work closer with Jill in that particular case.
Thank you.
I apologize, I just didn't have it in front of me.
Right. It's a team effort, Mr. Criscuolo.
Thank you, sir.
Team effort. I'd like to open this up to the public, and the public just on this ordinance 24-15. Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. Any more comments from council? Mayor?
Just to clarify that, under normal circumstances, if the code enforcement officer recognizes an area that is out of violation, the process is to give them a notice and then have them come to court, and there's a period of time to cure. But if I guess what we're trying to clarify here is that if the police feel that it's a public safety issue, that we don't have the time to go to court and wait for it to be resolved in that setting, so that we can go ahead, the township will take whatever responsible action needs to be done, and we lien the property for the cost.
Thank you,
And we
Mayor.
all know the location that really prompted this. It's been an issue for as long as I've been here.
Certainly has.
Any, I did the public portion, right? Roll call?
Councilman Bahal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicky?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our reports section.
That's 16.
No more order.
2416, one more
Oh,
order.
16, we didn't, I beg your pardon. Township Clerk, would you please read? Oh, yes, I have.
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 3 of the Township Code to amend the definition of managerial executives.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I guess before I send it over to you, Mr. Criscuolo, is this just clerical?
Yeah, this was a product of the Ethics Board meeting that Anthony and Tamara was at, where we needed to declare who we consider as managerial staff in the township. So this just clarifies this, puts us in compliance with the state ethics code, and resolves that particular situation. I don't know if Raj has anything else to add. That's pretty much a summary.
Please.
Yeah, no, I was just going to confirm with that Joe was correct. There was just a confusion as to the duties of individuals to do disclosures, et cetera, to the state, and this clarifies exactly which positions are required to do that.
Because when I started reading this, what jumped out at me was the Ethics Board says something. So Ethics Board says jump, we say how high?
Well,
Or, right? Or is it, because it has chief of staff. We don't have the chief of staff. You're number one in line of succession, let's say, with regard to this particular change. I mean, I know that Edison and Woodbridge, they have their chiefs of staff.
well, it's all the titles that you have in your salary ordinance or prospective titles. So it's easier to put like a catch-all in.
Okay.
That if you did have that title, that they would be considered a management employee and then required to complete the financial disclosure statement. And that comes basically directly from the state.
And then we had tax assessor down at number 33. You know, I see your tax assessor with regard to managing our monies as being, I'm not putting him at number 33. I got him.
Well,
up
there's
as number
no
10.
order of importance on here. Let's be clear.
Okay. All right, we're going on record as saying that, okay, then I'm accepting. I'll open this matter up to the public. Nobody's on my side on this one? Close the public portion. Comments from council, anything? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicky?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Now we can move on to reports. We'll move on to our report section of the meeting. Mayor Cohn?
Thank you, Council President. A couple of nice things. One, a hearty congratulations to the graduating class of 2024. Anytime high school has a graduation, we're all very intensely proud of the work that they did in our schools, and so these kids are really all rock stars, and we wish them the best in the future. Also wanted to mention that within the last, I think since the last meeting, we brought in 3 new police officers to our department. Really excited when that happens because I think that part of, again, one of the things that makes East Brunswick such a great place to live is how much we value public safety. And bringing in new officers and having them feel part of the culture of the organization and become actively involved in the community is critically important. And so we're excited about that. So we welcome all 3 of them. And we also had, not last weekend, the weekend before, 2 programs that were jointly combined. One was the Lost Souls Project, which is a project here in town recognizing East Brunswick past in terms of having sent individuals who are living here back into slavery through a judge that worked in town over 200 years ago. That history had been discovered about 7, 8 years ago, and the township then decided that with that history we would use that as a learning opportunity and create this organization that looked into the history, celebrates it, puts up a installation which, when completed, will be at the Community Arts Center. And interestingly, as they continue to find more and more about that past, people who almost number 200, which we thought were completely lost, we're actually now finding many of whom survived. And through DNA and the technology we have today, they think they're actually close to finding people who may have be descendants of those individuals. So I think it's all incredibly exciting. They've put together programs in Rutgers to teach that portion of the slavering that involved in New Jersey. And it's actually being incorporated with researchers down at LSU, because when the individuals were sent back into slavery, they were put on ships that were destined to Louisiana. So I think there's a fascinating history there that our role is to not bury it, but to uncover it, learn from it, so that things like that we learn and use as lessons for today. That was combined with our first ever celebration and flag raising for Juneteenth, which both Council President Kevin McAvoy and Council Vice President Dana Zimbicki were there to act as MCs. So again, very proud to have been able to participate in something that I think will now become a tradition. And they were both really, really nice services. So I want to thank everybody for their involvement in that. Thank you, Council President.
Okay. Our Business Administrator, Mr. Criscuolo.
Just one item, our paving program is really ramped up in full swing, which also includes drainage improvements. Last meeting I talked about Sunburst and all the improvements we did over there, and the special type of striping, and the new stop sign with the flashing lights and everything has been installed. And you may have noticed when you walked in today that the drainage portion in the parking lot right outside the council chambers courtroom here has been completed. Part of that, they did hit the electrical line that feeds the lighting out there, and the contractor was here this morning addressing those issues. But we should see less freezing in the lot there, less use of salt and brining of that area, because of the water should be able to drain better. It was a insurance risk with the amount of holes and everything that was in that parking lot, and the amount of people that visit the building for court and various other items. Naturally, our GIF always looks for us to make continual improvements, as if there is a lawsuit or whatever like that, we can show, that we did the library side last year, this year we did this side. So we want to continue to make improvements, and it helps us if we ever get involved into a court lawsuit. Along with that, paving, as we're talking about paving, in the next couple of weeks, we will be adding sidewalk from the new Islamic Center on New Brunswick Avenue. We'll be adding sidewalk down to the CVS area. So there's a couple of properties there that don't have sidewalks. that will have sidewalks installed on New Brunswick Avenue there. I've also worked with Jersey Central Power and Light to make sure all that lighting is now operational, and luckily we got that done before the high heat incident occurred, where they've actually been out on the roads worrying about power restorations. With that, I gave you an add-on resolution for this evening. I'd like to thank Raj. 6 o'clock or so this evening, I gave him a call and said, there's an item missing from the agenda. This is to replace some of the sewer main over there. If you recall, last year, we dug up a good portion of that roadway. We did it in-house because it truly was an emergency. It was determined by our engineering staff and Dan Losak, who oversees the sewer utility, that pipe is failing. We did some TVing of it further on down the line, and naturally, before we mill and pave that portion, we want to replace that pipe. It's a good section of pipe. We really would rather not do it in-house and we don't want to hold up our paving program as we're getting, ready pretty much to do it. So declared the emergency there because the pipe to this day is failing. And we're afraid, certainly with the miller and the paver on it, it's just going to crush the entire pipe. So I'm going to declare the emergency. You'll see the memo from Mr. Losak and the resolution that was created by Raj this evening to have that pipe replaced.
We have a number on that resolution, Mr. Chris-Cool? Raj?
We can add it to the end.
Okay.
Of the
When we get
consent
there.
agenda?
It's on consent agenda.
Yeah.
It's not something we have to do from the podium right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have extra copies if there's members of the public that would like to see the resolution and this accompanying documentation.
Yeah, we can make this 24-208.
That's all my report is for
Thank
this
you.
evening.
208.
Thank you.
Our attorney, Mr. Raj Gomer,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Township Clerk.
Council President, I just have a quick report. This pertains to Resolution 24-197, which is listed on the consent agenda. This resolution authorizes the approval of 2 liquor licenses, one of which is a pocket license and the other is an inactive license. The 2 licenses have met all the requirements for renewal for the period of 2024 through 2025 licensing period. And the council must take action to either approve the license or to deny the liquor licenses that are listed on the resolution. Any action of denial should be done by resolution with good cause. Please note that if a license is denied, the applicant will not have the ability to sell their license or to operate. So once again, if the council do take action, they must take action to either approve the renewal of the liquor license or to deny the liquor license.
And we'll see that on the consent agenda.
Yes. Thank you. That's all.
Township Council, any reports or committees?
Just quick
Yes,
report.
Councilwoman Zambicki.
Mayor, talking about tradition, we have another tradition coming up on July 4th, our annual 4th of July celebration at the fairgrounds. Doors open at 6 p.m. There'll be food trucks, DJ Nick Devine, and children's activities. And a new thing this year, our very own East Brunswick Symphony Orchestra will be playing during the firework presentation as well. So that's pretty exciting. So get some chairs and blankets and come join us.
Thank you, Councilwoman Zambicki. Let's move on to our public portion of our meeting. Township Clerk, please read our public comment statement.
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond or not respond.
Thank you. Let me make a statement first. I'm going to reverse the process that we did at our last meeting. Our last meeting, I made an announcement that we were going to limit to 25 minutes, to about a half hour, I think I said. And I was given the okay to say the cat people. So, with this, I'm looking for somebody to smile so that I'm using the right words. So let's go with the cat people after a couple of, like Mr. Ingrasini, I'd like you to come up and take the microphone first, and if there's anyone else who would like to speak before the cat people so that we can focus on the cat people once the 2 or 3 people who want to speak.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, Tom Ingrasani, Deerfield Road. I just have a couple questions. Does anybody know when the Chick-fil-A is going to be opening up or attempt to be opening up on Route 18? That was one question.
Okay, we have nothing on that right
Yeah.
now.
And when the bids...
I don't even think a shovel's been put in the ground yet, Mr.
I haven't seen nothing either,
No,
that's what I'm saying.
that's off in the distance.
All right. The other thing was, when the bids come out for the skating rink, are they going to be sent to a contractor or all different electrical contractors and laborers, or,
Comes here, Mr.
in other words, the general contractor, he's going to take bids of all
Right.
trades, or is it individual?
There's 2 bids that are out there, one for the ice surface, one is the GC. So when we get them back, they'll be specifically from the GC and the person that does the ice.
All right, because I'm concerned about electrical work, basically, all right? Because I like to see it go union, local 456 is available.
There's a PLA on the.
Excuse me?
There is a PLA requirement for the work.
All right, but the things I'd like to see them at least get in and on if it's possible, you know.
A lot of it is going to be union work.
Good, good. I did a skating rink 55 years ago, so it's involved, it pretty is involved.
Right.
The other thing was, I noticed, could we put twigs and leaves in a garbage pail?
Branch pickup is done as a separate collection. If you just have small twigs, they'll naturally you can. But branch and leaf twig collection has always been a second. It's the 3rd week of the month. You call into DPW, put them in lengths of less than 6 feet, less than 50 pounds. Call DPW, it's a separate truck, they come and get it, they mulch them up and they put them into piles. Leaves, at this point in time, have to go to DPW.
Because a lot of stuff fell down today, and I collected almost a pail of leaves from the pool and everything else. And I saw somebody on the blocks that had like bamboo coming out of the garbage pails. And I said, wow, it's like,
Okay.
and they took it because it wasn't there no more.
you
So that's
go.
my question, could you do it? And
Right, as long as you call in to the township and then set up the date, like Mr.
But that's a separate collection, though.
Yes.
This was
Yes.
a collection today, they
Oh,
picked it up.
That was nice.
Oh, and I guess that's about all I had to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Ingersoll.
Oh, the other guy that was here last month about the freedom of speech, you know, the First Amendment, you know, that was kind of, you know,
Well, he's very passionate, that young man.
yeah.
So he's very concerned about the welfare of his side of the story, and that
Yeah, I
that was okay.
understand
When you cross the line, I'll let, when anyone crosses the line, I'll let you know. But again, like you said at the beginning, with First Amendment rights are very important in this chamber.
Because that wasn't used with President Trump, you know, so I was wondering, his freedom of speech was taken away.
Thank you for that analogy.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else from the non-CAT contingent want to address the council president? Okay, so why don't we move into a half hour in and around from the CAT people. Lindsay?
Can we just move this to the side? Come on up. Okay. Good evening. I'm speaking on behalf of Lindsay Margosian, 37 Buckingham Drive. Council President McAvoy, esteemed members of the Town Council, and Mayor Cohen. First, I would like to note that due to work obligations and vacations, many TNR supporters were unable to be here tonight. However, much attention will continue to be paid to this important issue as problems continue to go unabated as the town refuses to pass a TNR ordinance and update Chapter 83 of its municipal code. Mayor Cohen, thank you for reaching out to one of my board members recently to discuss TNR. I know that you said you would be willing to meet with us, which we welcome. We are also open to providing you with our data. We would just need to know you. We would just need you to tell us exactly what you are looking for. I'd also like to mention that the template ordinance that you all received can be tweaked to fit East Brunswick's needs. No TNR ordinance is exactly the same from town to town, but every TNR ordinance that you will see has the same basic elements. We did send you an email on Saturday, June 15th, requesting a meeting, and we sent a follow-up email on Wednesday, June 19th. Our hope was to be able to have a discussion with you prior to tonight. However, our emails went unanswered, so we felt the need to show up at tonight's council meeting. Mr. Mayor, I understand that you refuse to change our ordinances and that you cite a concern for litigation from those residents who live near hoarding situations, as well as a concern for enforceability of our ordinances. I'd like to try to address those concerns now. Let's discuss the litigation concern first. East Brunswick, just like any other town, has its share of hoarding situations. East Brunswick is not unique in this respect. If a TNR ordinance were to increase the exposure of a municipality to the risk of litigation due to hoarding situations, other towns and counties in New Jersey, as well as throughout the United States, would not be passing TNR ordinances. By not passing a TNR ordinance, putting the town at risk for litigation for the sheer public safety risk alone. As others have said previously, TNR helps hoarding situations. Since litigation is a concern, if there is a rare incident, and incidents with TNR'd cats are very rare, with a cat that results in a lawsuit, it would be more significant now that you have officially been made aware that a TNR ordinance would have absolutely helped, and you elected to do nothing about it. Let's move on to your other concern, which was enforceability. I'd like to take a moment to review how Chapter 83 of our municipal code currently reads. It clearly defines owner as, when applied to the proprietorship of a dog or cat, means every person, firm, association, corporation, or responsible party for an animal owning, controlling, harboring, or keeping any dog or cat which is over the age of 7 months or possesses a set of permanent teeth or any other animals. If the owner is a minor as defined by statute, the minor's parent or parents or legal guardians shall be the owner for purposes of this section. To harbor an animal means to provide food and or shelter. This is what any colony caretaker does. So our code is saying that if you feed a cat, you own it. This means that you must license these cats. If you look at the licensing requirements, as there are no exceptions made for feral or community cats. Let's move down to Section 83-14. Under Section 83-14, regulations for dogs and cats, last amended in 2016, it clearly states that owned cats, which includes community cats, since caregivers are seen as owners under our code, are exempt from Parts C through G. This means that they are allowed to disturb the peace by yowling and howling at all hours of the night. They are allowed to run at large or free roam. And best of all, they're allowed to damage your property. So Mayor Cohen, I understand that you are concerned about enforceability, but what enforceability do you have now? All you have is the licensing requirement, which completely goes against the whole point of TNR, as these community cats are not owned cats. You have no nuisance abatement process because you do not have a TNR ordinance in place, and as our current code reads, community cats are exempt from all of these nuisance behaviors. So if a resident calls to complain about cats, they are basically up a creek without a paddle because our town excuses the behavior of these cats and the town has no ability to do anything about it. A TNR ordinance would fix all of that.
It would give you back the ability to address complaints through a nuisance abatement process, acknowledging the concerns of those residents who do complain. I keep hearing that Chapter 83 of our code, Dogs and Cats, is comprehensive in its regulations. Nowhere in Chapter 83 does it mention feral or community cats. Nowhere in Chapter 83 does it mention colony caretakers. Nowhere in Chapter 83 does it mention TNR.
That's 5 minutes.
I read too slow.
Bear with me. Can you conclude in 30 seconds? Because I'm not going to open the
Yes.
door. I'm not going to
Yes.
open the door.
You don't have to.
Extend over here, extend over here.
Final note.
Next month, someone says, yo, McAvoy, you will.
Respectfully.
Right.
Final note. We appreciate that you're willing to take some time to take some steps to support TNR. However, you will not be mayor of East Brunswick forever. That's just how politics go. And this is why we need a binding update to Chapter 83 of our ordinances, and we must pass a TNR ordinance. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. Does anyone else wish to address the council president?
To the council, council president, Mayor Cohen. My name is Susan Yeomans. I live at 14 Sheridan Avenue in East Brunswick. And on December 18th, 2023, I found 4 kittens and a mother on my deck. I do not own any animals, any pets. At that moment, I became a feral cat colony caretaker. First, I contacted East Brunswick Police, who informed me that they outsourced to New Brunswick. I sent emails, never received a reply. I began calling and emailing agencies and was told that it was over inundated with cats. I tried TNR East Brunswick. Lindsay replied to me within 24 hours. She informed me it would take several weeks for someone to help me with my situation. She sent someone out for trapping, chipping, clipping the ears, vaccinating, spay or neuter. And then once they were fixed, they were brought back to the colony, which is my deck. About 2 months after that, another cat came and gave birth to 5 kittens. So now I have 5 kittens that I need to socialize so that they can be adopted, and there's a mother cat, and all in total, there's 9 to 10 cats. And I wonder, is this a resident problem? And why you wouldn't want to make any changes to make it easier on residents when this happens? I've lived here for 46 years, and I've never experienced anything like this. I'm assuming that none of you have either. Every day, I'm going out there and feeding them, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm trying to do the right thing and help them. But I wonder, is it anyone else's responsibility? And if Lindsay can help and we can do the right changes, why wouldn't it be done? Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Good evening.
My name is Janine Donito. I'm a resident of South Brunswick. I live off Henderson Road and Route 1. And I grew up in East Brunswick and went to middle school and high school here. In relation to the TNR, and especially to some of the comments that Lindsay made, the reason why I feel that a TNR ordinance would help you here in East Brunswick is because it would give the town leverage to say to people who are complaining and threatening lawsuits because cats are destroying their property, once they're fixed, it reduces most of the behaviors that people are complaining about. And it would give you leverage to say, look, we're monitoring these cats. They have medical care, they're vaccinated, so they're not gonna spread disease, and they're not gonna reproduce. And that's the crux of it to me, and why, it would be important for you to reconsider that, because it would give you a point to make to residents who are complaining. Because I've been doing TNR for a number of years, and I've heard those complaints over and over again. And what I've also heard is that once I go into an area and fix the cats, they're not digging in my garden, they're not digging in my trash, they're not jumping on my car and urinating and making it smell, because the medical care that they receive eliminates a lot of those problems. So that's something you should consider. On a personal level, like I said, I grew up in East Brunswick, and I have to say that I forgot a lot of the stuff that I knew when I was growing up. And I was a little jolted and disappointed at how the last meeting went. I felt like I was back in high school again and being bullied. And I don't want to think that the town that I grew up in still has that, the memory of what I experienced growing up. And I would have hoped that it had changed, and that, you would be willing to work with us, because we try to come to you respectfully and present our case. The third thing I want to say, and then I'll conclude, is that you mentioned in the meeting that this is an East Brunswick issue. It's absolutely not. It's a worldwide problem, and it's not a cat problem, and it's not in East Brunswick or South Brunswick or New Jersey or the Northeast. It's everywhere. And it's a human problem, because the reason why we have feral cats in the first place is because people don't fix their cats, and they let them outside, and they reproduce, and they become wild. So that's another thing you need to take into account, that it's not exclusive to here, it's everywhere. Thank you.
You're welcome. Please.
Hi, April Albanese, 9 Diamond Court, East Brunswick. I've been a homeowner for 25 years. I just wanted to give you some insight on my personal experience with Jess and Lindsay from East Brunswick TNR, which they are absolutely wonderful, and they were a lifesaver for me. So about 5-6 years ago, a neighbor of mine, a couple houses down, elderly woman, she unfortunately passed away. When the medical team entered her home, we discovered that she had an unhealthy hoarding issue with cats. I want to say there was probably, I don't remember the number I did at the time, probably about 30 to 40 cats in this home, where we witnessed, you remember, okay?
37.
Yep.
The captain does.
Yes. So I witnessed, as a cat lover, animal lover, resident, people with hazmat suits going into this house. The driveway was lined with cages, and they were trapping these cats. Horrible conditions. They looked unhealthy. Long story short, I did meet up with one of her friends that I knew used to come and take care of her, because I would help give her meals. And I ran into her friend when she was allowed to re-enter the home after they had completely cleaned it out and sanitized it. You could smell it from my house, the cat urine. I asked her, I'm like, what happened? We did not even realize, like, a lot of our neighbors would have helped her out. Basically, bottom line is, she was scared. They had reached out to the town, her friend did. She thought she was doing the right thing, which most people think they are. You're there to take care of the animal, and you're hoping everything goes away. But what she was doing was making it worse. A lot of her cats were unhealthy, and now you're overcrowding the shelters. I'm not even sure what happened to any of those cats, except for two. 2 kittens made it to my yard. I found them, I fed them, and based on what information I got from this woman, I was told the town isn't going to do anything about it. So I also talked to some other residents that I knew had outdoor cats as well, feral cats. I've been a cat owner for all my life. I won't say how old I am. But I know that there is inside, outside cats. I had 2 inside cats myself, and I know how to take care of them, so I started taking care of these 2 kittens. I myself, with my neighbor's help, was able to capture one of those kittens. She took it in. The other cat lived happily in my yard for about 2.5 years, until one day, this nice big orange cat showed up, and then a couple months later, I had kittens. So then I started panicking. My friend who lived in Spotswood at the time said, reach out to the town. They should have an TNR program. Reached out, got the same answer that this woman had gotten years ago. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't afford this. What am I going to do? This is expensive. I can understand the situation that most people are in. I went to social media, which I always tell my kids, do not get your news from social media. Do not look for help from social media. Well, that's where I found my help. Not from my town, from social media. I found Lindsay on East Brunswick TNR. She answered me right away. With those 4 kittens, we were able to capture 3 of them. 3 were left uncaptured, and we tried for a while. Those 2 that were captured, just from my experience, they still live happily in my yard, don't cause any problems. I feed them. The other ones periodically, and unfortunately I had a medical issue with my daughter, so I haven't been able to try to catch them again. But now they have had more kittens, and I actually have to talk to Lindsay and Jess to get traps again and try to get these. But as a citizen of East Brunswick and a cat lover, animal lover, I just am baffled why we don't update our ordinance. We have the template to do so. With that, we'll get grant money, which will allow Lindsay to do more work. I think it's more education. A lot of our residents are under the assumption that it is illegal, and they're hiding it. And then when their neighbors complain about the cats, they bring them in their house, and it becomes a really bad situation. And a lot of them are our elderly residents that are lonely, and the cats are great companions. And it's just, I think we need more education. We need to pass this ordinance. We need to give Lindsay and Jess the help that they need so that we can control the situation, because it is getting worse. And it's just going to get worse, because that one kitten that is not fixed can turn into multiple very fast. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council president? I didn't know if you know.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alan Margosian, 37 Buckingham Drive, East Brunswick. Been a resident of town since 1986. East Brunswick TNR is trying to help the town. They're trying to get the town to pass an ordinance. The ordinance has to be, they're not cookie cutter ordinances. The ordinance needs to be put together so that it meets the town's needs. No one is looking to take away the ability of the town to enforce any ordinances or any laws of the town. An updated ordinance will actually help the town. It will also help the whole TNR process by stopping people from going underground with the problem. It's hard to have one-way communication like this every couple of weeks at a town meeting. What we really need is to sit down and discuss the town's concerns, what we think we can do to help the town, what we can do to help our residents. We just need a meeting across the table where there can be open dialogue between both parties, instead of us constantly talking to the town and not getting any feedback. Or if we get feedback, it's limited and it doesn't address our concerns. It's 2024. It's time that our town recognizes that Its ordinances are old. They don't address the situations that are happening every day in this town. And as I said before, a lot of the people have gone underground. We don't even hear about it. So once again, what we're asking is to meet with the town and find out if there's a way we can put an ordinance in place that will help not just the town, but help the whole TNR process and East Brunswick TNR and Rescue to help them do their job. And they do it every day without the town's consent, without the town's assistance. There is no sharing of information between the town and the rescue, so that oftentimes they're working in different directions on the same problem. Especially hoarding situations. Nobody wants to see a hoarding situation. It's bad for the cats, it's bad for the residents, it's bad for the neighbors. We both the town and East Brunswick TNR want to help resolve those hoarding situations, and one way to do that is to work together. So once again, we are looking for a meeting where we can have open dialogue between the two groups and hopefully accomplish something and get the ordinances updated. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council president? We'll close the public portion and move on to, hang on, to the consent agenda. And again, Resolution 24-208 is moving beyond 207, obviously, but may I have a motion for Resolution 24-197 through 24-208?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Can we have a little discussion on 24-197?
Any
We see the Sunny Palace, East Brunswick GRP has been in pocket, and we granted, I guess, a renewal on May 17th, 2023. As discussed last meeting, I'd like to see the state ordinance, state statute on this, and put this property owner or this license holder on notice that we expect them to activate this license within the period, you know, as per the state ordinance, state statute.
So I'm sure he's not going to want to miss that particular date.
Right. And I don't want to be in this situation next year where we're having this discussion all over.
No, I don't. No, I don't either. Mayor Cohn?
You can't do that. According to the state statute, the owner has the right to ask for an extension. And if the owner asks for an extension and the state grants it, then whatever the state requirement is been waived at their, they accepted that. So you can't, you're basically, you have to give a reason other than demanding them to do something that the state has given them relief from.
Well, this one hasn't been, they haven't been granted.
Which
relief.
one?
Sunny Palace.
So, this year, I'm
They
not sure
did.
the impetus of it, but the state actually has waived the special approvals for this year for all liquor licenses. I think it was part of the state bill that actually revamped liquor licenses. So none of the in-pocket or other licenses that are not active actually had to go out and get special approvals this year.
How long does the state allow them, I mean, if the state grants them relief, what's the period of time that relief?
A year.
Year.
It's still, for Sunny Palace, when they applied for the license in 2023, they were granted relief for 2 years, which
Right.
is the reason why it was listed. So it was granted for the period of 2023 through 2024, and for this licensing period, which is 2024 through 2025, which is the reason why it's referenced on the resolution. In terms of what Mr. Goomer was referencing, the other license for Anna, that one received a blanket relief. That was
But for what period of time?
for this licensing period, for 2024 through 2025, just for the 1 year.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else need to be clarified?
I know it's
Councilwoman
annoying.
Zambicki?
Right, because they put this in, and now they don't want to, giving everybody relief from it, so essentially there's really no restriction right now.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes, Resolution 24-200. I was just looking for some explanation as to like the changes.
Chris can you clarify
Sure.
that one?
When this applicant came to the planning board, there was certain obligations that were put on the developer. This is the piece of property that's on Fern Road. It used to be a tree farm, I believe, and they're going to be building some houses back there. So there was stipulation on there that they had to, do it within a certain time period and so on. Before I left the office a week ago, we were waiting on the project schedule. From what I understand, tomorrow you've been provided with that schedule. Have you?
Yes, it's attached to.
It's attached. And that was the outstanding item, so they have to meet the
resolution.
criteria that was placed upon them at the planning board and come to this council for its approval.
Okay.
And you said on the planning board. so.
Yes, and again, this was brought to our attention just before the meeting, so hopefully you had a moment of time to go through it and listen to Mr. Criscuolo. So can I have do we get the motion?
I don't think.
No?
Oh, yes, we do. Wendell and.
We'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Separate stuff now, council. Well, council, we have 3 ordinances for introduction. And let's begin with ordinance 24-17. Township Clerk, will you read?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 158, Section 15, entitled Drug-Free School Zone Maps of the Code of the Township of East Brunswick to update the drug-free zone maps.
May I have a motion?
Motion adopted.
Second.
Second.
And Mr. Criscuolo, we have a map in our
Right.
packet.
As you add learning facilities, including nursery schools.
Good.
The maps have to be updated, and the map actually comes from our police department.
Okay.
And the purpose of the drug-free school zone, if there's a drug transaction that goes on within that zone, the fines are considerably higher. So that's, and the map has to be adopted, and the drug transaction would have to be within that zone. So this was a requirement that's placed upon the town to adopt the maps as new facilities are added and then reviewed every X amount of years.
It's too bad we couldn't just make the entire map
Yes, I agree.
drug-free. I don't know if you can rightfully see, but everywhere we see a darker portion of the community, it's because there's a school there, or there's some type of learning institution. So that, as Mr. Criscuolo said, the fines are exorbitantly larger. Okay. Any comment from council? A roll call, please.
Councilmember Hall?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Ordinance 24-18, Township Clerk.
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 166 entitled Property Maintenance Code of the Code of the Township of East Brunswick to add provisions for bamboo regulations.
Mr. Criscuolo, any clarification? on this?
Sure. Raj and I did this in a previous town about 10 years ago when there started to be a problem with bamboo. Bamboo is a very invasive species of plant that easily can grow under fences, sidewalks, various other things. So we've received several complaints from residents throughout the town, and we have observed that it is true. They do have the neighbors have bamboo growing, and it's invading onto their property, just grows right under the fence and so on. So as an invasive species, and the rights of the neighbors, putting this into effect would make the growing of bamboo on your property basically illegal because it's so invasive. It will grow like crazy. So I think Tom had mentioned he saw his neighbor putting some in his trash, and it grows quickly, okay? We don't have any koala bears in East Brunswick to eat all this bamboo. So, we feel that this is important, and I must say that I've done this in other communities where I worked.
And the process will be, I would hope, or I would think, that the resident would be informed,
Right.
at various levels before you're, let's say, instituting some type of financial penalty.
Yes.
But a process whereby, because doing this, I'm sure there's neighbors of ours who've had bamboo for quite a while. Maybe there's those who take care of it. There's those who don't take care of it.
It depends on where it's growing, and we can't do a depends ordinance. So that's why we kind of mimicked what we did in other municipalities.
And the emphasis is on neighbors?
Yeah.
Okay. May I have a motion on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Bajal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Ordinance 24-19 is lawful again. Will you please read?
An ordinance of the Township of East Brunswick, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 209, Section 62, entitled Schedule 23, Speed Limits of the Code of the Township of East Brunswick to amend the speed limit along Fern Road to Cranberry Road.
We have a motion on this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Crisculo, the need?
Pretty simple. There's varying speed limits on that roadway. This would just establish that there be a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit in both directions from Dunham's Corner Road to Cranberry Road to be consistency. As you know, that road is got several severe bends in the roadway, and it makes sense to do that. Also, we have a share of the road bike path on that roadway, and really the state likes when you have that there, that the speed limit would be lowered in order to facilitate that. If you remember several meetings ago, we did New Brunswick Avenue, because when we do that, we're going to do a share the road type situation for bikers as well.
Thank you. Any council comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Bajal?
Yes.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes, for the good of the cause.
Yeah,
Councilman Wendell?
I'd just like to commend the chief and the administration and police department, and the mayor and Mr. Crisculo on finally moving back to sending our new patrolmen to the academy on our own, rather than getting officers that may have learned some bad things in other departments and are looking for a new job. I think it's a great thing to be sending these officers to the academy, not letting them go on their own or something else. So thanks for doing that. I think it's a great thing for the town.
Anything else? A motion to adjourn, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Good night.